Welcome to a special edition of Ask the Author on Liberate and Love Your Authentic Self. I'm Dr. Andrea Pennington, and today I have a special guest. It is Lorena Plæhn, and she is one of the contributing authors to Time to Rise. Thank you for being here, Lorena.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing your story in this book. This is so juicy that I'm actually going to start, if you don't mind. I want to start with how you started off your chapter, which is called Awakened by My Gifted Kids. And, let's just say, how many parents do we hear who say, oh, my kid, my kids are my greatest teachers. We say that a lot, but for real, y'all, this is true. So here we go. Your chapter starts off. The phone rang and I answered. It's Lorena. Hi, honey. It's Shani. Where are you? I wrapped up the kids and went for some errands. Good idea. The energies are really dancing around in your house. They know we were invited to the party today. Now, what exactly did she mean by energies dancing around your house?
Well, what she meant was, I'm living in an old farm, and on that farm there are many ghosts. So we have had a lot of ghosts at home, and I have hired Shani to come and cleanse the house at that day. And whenever you start, I suppose you know that when you invite for a big event or something, the energies start working in you. And it's the same with ghosts and ghost energy, that if you plan something where they are, they know it, and they're gonna get up and dance with you.
So what sort of party did you have planned?
Well, we had planned cleansing the house. So that's what she meant with the party is on. They already moved around.
Okay.
Because some ghosts know that they're going to get helped. And that's what they had come to our house for, especially to my son, which I will get into a bit later. So they had been asking for help. And now that I have hooked up with her and made an appointment with her, she would pretty much come and do the cleansing and help all the ghosts that needed to go somewhere else than staying in our house.
Mm-hmm. So up to this point then, had you actually seen them, or did you feel a presence?
Well, I more felt a presence, and we knew in the house that the former owner had killed himself, so we knew his kind of energy was there, but we had already tried to have that cleansed out. But since we moved there, our son had been very uncomfortable being alone, not being in the house, but being alone in the house at certain points and certain areas in the house. And my husband actually feels and sees more than I do. So he was actually the one being more occupied with this than I really were.
Well, tell me about the experience that your son had, and when did that first start for him?
Well, it actually started when we moved out there. He was 1.5 years, and he wouldn't be in his own room. He wouldn't sleep in his own room. He wouldn't be there. So whenever it got dark, we already sensed that he was uncomfortable and didn't want to be alone at any point. And then later on, my husband started seeing and feeling these entities in the house and all the energies, and I started feeling them. So it was kind of like it was quiet to my husband and I in the beginning, but then the older Charlie got, my son, the more energy there would be in the house. So finally we had to have somebody to come and cleanse the house. And we had a couple of women and men helping us during the years, but they hadn't really succeeded. So my story actually starts when Charlie's 11. So
Oh
you can
my
see.
gosh. So he had endured this for like basically almost 10 years.
10 years.
So when he was a baby, he just didn't want to be alone. So I'm sure he was just sort of fussy and crying. But over the course of that 10 years, did he see anything? Did he ever tell you that he saw ghosts?
No, he didn't say that he saw ghosts, but he said that it was like somebody contacted him sometimes, and he felt the presence of somebody near him. But he also felt that they didn't want to harm him. So he was not afraid like that. It was more when it got dark, then he didn't like being there because then it freaked him out.
Yeah, of course.
So they kind of contacted him, but he didn't know what to do and he didn't know what to say. So he was like, I don't know what to do, Mom. And well, neither did I.
But you didn't exactly say, "Hey, Charlie, yeah, I believe you. There's some sort of presence here."
No. I said to him in the beginning, we said to him, well, are you sure? And are you sure it's not just, the vibes in the house and there are no ghosts? And we didn't exactly. When he said, Mom, I don't know what to do, I was always talking about energies and like, okay, there can be some energies in the house. Don't you think it's just that? And it's dark outside. There are no lights. We live in the countryside. So there will be no traffic, no people. And we would put it in that box saying, well, I don't know, ghosts. It's just energies and I don't know what to do about it. And well, we just leave it. Let's breathe, trying to comfort him.
Yeah.
But saying there are no ghosts.
Mm.
There are no, because he couldn't see them.
Got it.
Yeah.
And what was your rationale? Do you think you didn't want to say that you knew that there were entities or ghosts just to keep him calm? Is that your reasoning?
Yeah.
Okay.
My reasoning is the traditional one, trying to keep him safe from stuff we couldn't see or stuff we didn't know what to do about, and trying to neglect it by saying, oh, it's nothing. No, when kids fall, hit their knees, and you say, oh, come on, it's nothing.
Yeah.
Then it's done.
Exactly. Trying to just, brush it over. Yeah. But on the point where you start the story, this woman, Shani, did you say that's how we pronounce her name? So Shani was coming with the express intention to help these energies move on. And fortunately, at that point, you're saying they weren't scary. They weren't like tormenting your son. It was just that it was, kind of creepy. So what happened when she arrived?
Well, she actually had a helper because when she go cleanses houses, there are always two.
Okay.
And that's ethical reasons for her, so that there are two to witness and do the cleaning, so to say. And when she arrived, the woman with her, Atina, actually came first, and she came into the kitchen, and the first thing she said was, oh my God, do you lose all your stuff often? And I was like, no, we don't lose anything. And she was like, okay, then you have some very powerful spirits taking care of you here, because holy moly, you got a party going on here.
Oh,
and she was like, oh my. So that was actually the first thing she said when she came in.
So she could already feel them, or could she see them?
She could both feel them and see them, and she's a horse whisperer too, so she could talk to the animals outside, and she was actually doing all the cleaning outside. And then Shani came, and she said the same. And as you will read in my story, she had already asked me to take my son, put him on the table, and tell him that he was right, and give him a big excuse. So I had already done that. And
you mean by excuse, you mean to you asking for forgiveness?
Yes, exactly. Me asking for forgiveness for always saying we didn't have ghosts. They weren't there. And it was it's a moment I never forget, because I put him on the table. She actually said to me, you're not going to tell him, I'm going to hunt you down, lady. So you're going to do it, and you're going to do it before I come, because that's why he's going to be home. We're going to work together, all of us. So I put him on the table and looked him in the eyes, and I said, honey, I have something to tell you, and I'm truly, truly sorry. There are ghosts in our house. And seeing that little boy sitting on the kitchen table, I get goosebumps telling it, sitting on the kitchen table, a bit anxious. And then I told him that, and the relief flushed through him all the way from the top, down his face, down his body, and out to his toes. It was,
wow.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I felt so bad. I thought to myself, 10 years he's been wrapped up in I'm wrong, I'm not right, I don't sense things right.
Yeah.
That was
I get the weight of that. I do feel the weight of, as a parent, seeing your kid go, I was actually right.
Yeah.
But at that point, so wait, I just want to back up a second there. So there were not just human spirits, there were animal spirits. So tell me about where in the country you were. Why were there so many spirits there? Were they able to tell you?
Yeah, it's because we live on the countryside just outside Copenhagen, and it's an area that has been in the very old days, it's the area that's been the fortresses protecting Copenhagen from, when there has been wars and all the ships would come in. So that would be one of the sites we live at. So there has been many wars going on, been many when the Dutch people came to Copenhagen, they actually lived there, and there have been, all kind of farms there doing a lot of stuff, slaughterhouses, things like that. And especially in our farm, there had been slaughterhouses, they told us, and not very good energies, actually. Not very good energies to animals. So, yeah.
Wow. Okay. And so what exactly was that process like? What did they do to clear all those spirits? And did they get them all? Were they able to allow them to pass on to whatever other dimension?
Yeah. Well, they had sage, white sage, and some other oils they used. And then we walked around in the house, and they kind of addressed all the entities and all the energies and talked to them. So they spoke to the energies and the entities and asked them who they were, why they were there, what their intentions were. And room by room, they sent them out to this place outside and then sent them off. So it's a kind of a ritual thing they do. So we spent all afternoon walking around in the house, and Shani was inside, and she was actually talking to me and my husband and the kids. And Athena was on the outside, going around on the farm with all the animals and being outside, seeing what was going on. And at some point, Klaus went out with her, and I stayed inside with Shani and the kids. And they did the rituals they do when they cleanse houses, and finished off by kind of putting a protecting light around the house, because they told me that it had been a way where a road in the old days where all the carriages would go by, the horses with all the carriages would.
Yeah.
So it had a big road in the old days. So it was like, a draft. Energies going around
just like
the
a
house.
big thoroughfare of
Yeah,
traffic.
Yeah, a big traffic road.
Yeah.
So they had to kind of, shield it and help us protect it.
And so after this long day of this ritual, how was it living in that farmhouse?
Much better, much more calm. And actually she came back some months later to check it all up and see if there were more that had come in. And she came with a man. And at that time I was there alone, and they kind of gave me the key to the house. They said, now we're going to give you the key to the energy in this house. And at first I was, I didn't know much at that time about spirituality, entities, ghosts, energies, stuff like that. I didn't know anything, but I could feel it.
Yeah.
And they said to me, you have the key now. So you decide at any time, you decide how the energy is going to be in this house. Is it going to be full of life? Is it going to be calm? Is it going to be healing? Is it going to be, you decide. And I was a bit puzzled. But then again, it felt right. And not long after, I really felt what they meant. Until this day, I decide the energy in my house.
I love, love, love that, because knowing a little bit about your background, that you came from the corporate world, you know, you were an accountant, you were this executive secretary, very head oriented, to where you are today with feeling the energies and helping people. I love that transition. So when we get back from the break, I would love it if we could pick it up there so that we can talk about how that experience and really learning about energy has shaped who you are, who you have risen up to be today. Tune in daily to get fired up with insight and inspiration for purposeful living, conscious relationships, and soulful success. You're watching Liberate Your Authentic Self with me, Dr. Andrea Pennington. Check out the live version of this show, where I answer your questions in real time. Visit facebook.com/Dr. Andrea Pennington. If you happen to have anyone in your life who is spiritual or maybe called woo-woo, don't you ever wonder how we got that way? Many of us kind of had a traditional role in life, like my guest today, Lorena Plæhn, who was working in the corporate sector. She was a project manager and an administration manager, really working with the head. But today, she is now a psychotherapist, a spiritual mentor, and a transformational leader. So, Lorena, before we went to the break, we were talking about how you opened your chapter in Time to Rise, talking about the house cleaning, getting rid of these spirits and ghosts of both animals and people. You said at that point of your life, you weren't really sensitive to energies. You didn't really have all this kind of lingo. How was that transition for you from going from being able to admit to your son that, yes, there are ghosts in the house, to doing the energy cleaning, to then taking the keys, the energetic keys to your house? Tell me about how all of that has shaped who you are today.
Well, I must say it was kind of frustrating. It was kind of frustrating having to tell my son about the ghost and then experience how much he was really affected by it, but because I hadn't listened. So we had him kind of tested with Shani, and she said when she had him for a session, which for a boy in that age would be around an hour, she had him for 3 hours traveling out.
Okay, so first of all, what do you mean by tested? You had him tested for what?
We have him kind of tested. Well, it wasn't test, but she had to look into what kind of gifts does he have, and how can he use them, and what do we do now? Because he was very open, very spiritually open. So she was kind of, we have to find out where he is at this point, and then when I tell you, and we have found out, then we can sort of, putting a plan together. What do we do now?
Sure.
And she had him actually in a session for 3 hours.
Wow.
Having him out traveling, having him out sending people off, ghost.
Wait a minute. When you say out, you don't mean like they went for a drive outside the house.
No,
you mean
no.
Out of his body. They
were sitting and working in the universe. They were sitting and working in the surroundings, and ghosts would actually come to him while they were working. She would be with him all the time. Yeah. And then she asked him, do you want to help these ghosts? And he would say, yes, let me try. And then she kind of gave him directions, and he helped them. So what should have been an hour session just to check him was a 3-hour session where they actually worked, so she could really feel the depth and the opening of his spirituality.
Wow.
And then she came and we talked about it. She told me all about it, and I was like kind of frustrated because I don't know any of this. What do I do? How do I treat my son in daily life now? How do I protect him? How do I give him love and acknowledge him? How do I know when it's right or it's wrong? Or how do I trust all this?
Yeah.
So in the beginning, it was it was very frustrating for me. But then again, I had already once at that point changed my road in life, because I have this stepdaughter I've known since she was actually born, well, a month or two. And she had been having a very troublesome childhood because her mom was ill and had a drinking problem at some point. And at 10, when she was 10, she moved to our house. And all these psychological stuff, things happening there, had me looking into, okay, I need to do something about it. So I started my education as a psychotherapist, because I could feel that I'm very good at that. I could help her, but I needed some more tools.
Got it.
So that's why I did that. And now I had this son a couple of years later who has this spiritual awakening, kind of. And I was like, okay, so what do I do now?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I actually started educating myself with Shani, and then I took a private education as a spiritual mentor. And from that on, it has just been awakening, cleaning up inside me, awakening, cleaning up inside me, awakening. It's been a long, hard travel, I must say.
And so well, before we get to what you're doing today, I'm curious to know, how long ago was that? How old is your son now?
He's 19 now.
Wow.
So it's 8 years ago.
And so what is his life like? Does he still have that sensitivity? Is he using it at all, or did it freak him out? Did he want to shut it off?
In the beginning, he wanted to almost shut it off, because he was asked, do you want to shut it off? Should we help you to shut it off? And then kind of reopen it whenever you get older. And he was like, not totally, but please calm me down. Mm-hmm. And we knew that he would get 15 and 16. He would open up even more, and more of his senses would begin to work. So I had 4 years where I could prepare myself for that.
Yeah.
And he was kind of reluctant to acknowledge his talents.
Spiritual gifts. Yeah.
Gifts. Yeah. But every time he had a problem, I would direct him to use his spiritual gifts. So I kind of just, said, okay, you won't use it, but you have this problem. And the way to use it is to tap into yourself and use the tools you have. Mm-hmm. So I kind of forced him to go in there every time. So when he had a problem, okay, did you ask your angels? Did you draw a card? Did you meditate on it? All the time I would do the stuff like that. Yeah. And little by little, he would begin to work with it and adapt it. So today he's using his spiritual gifts, but he knows that at some point he's going to do something, I think, to the world, and give something to the world with his spiritual gifts. But for now, he's concentrating on being a young guy, doing his education as a blacksmith, and trying to use his creativity. And then sometimes he comes to me and says, Mom, I have this problem at work and I don't understand the adults there. Okay, we sit and talk, and then he said, oh, what can I do? And we look into his horoscope, we look to his numbers, we look to his cards, and then, sit there and educate him on where can you find this? How can you help yourself and all this? And he's becoming more and more curious. Mm-hmm. So it's good.
And that's also what you're doing now, right? It's a little bit of that. It's like you have embraced this idea of living your truth.
Yes.
and helping people as a psychotherapist, as a spiritual mentor. It sounds like you're bringing all of these lessons from working with your son now to help other people.
Yes, I am. I am doing that all the time. And I actually have a small charity program in my business where I have 10 young people at the age of 18 to 25 who don't have much money. So I have them coming to me working, and I do that for free. That's my kind of charity work. And some of them are actually very, very, very gifted and have a lot of guides around them. I had a girl at one point who came in who had been diagnosed with schizophrenia and stuff like that because she heard voices. And I was like, okay, so we're going to start out and see if you do hear voices or what you do. And it turned out she had 5 guardians angels with her.
Wow.
5 guardians angels. So I addressed the guardian angels and I asked them whenever she was in my room, please shut up. Because I'm doing the work, and if you send her to me, you should have confidence that I'm going to do what I have to do. And they did. They actually shut up whenever she came into me. And little by little, I could teach her to work with them and see the gifts she had.
Wow.
And then find her true self. And then, being young, but knowing she's gifted and has to use her gifts and stuff like that. So it's very interesting.
It does make you wonder how many people might have been diagnosed as psychotic or, schizophrenic, and actually they were hearing the voices of angels or guides or, other spirits that were trapped and kind of looking for a way out.
Yes. That's exactly what I wanted to. So I'm very careful when I have people in my praxis. Also, when I have people who do have a diagnosis, I'm very careful examining with them, opening up. Are you sure? Should we look here? How is this for you? Because I think we have a lot of people in the psychiatric system that could be handled otherwise.
Yeah. Well, thank goodness you are there. You are doing your service. So it sounds like it's kind of cool. It's similar to my situation that people will come and trust you because you're a psychotherapist, but yes, you're also really able to get into the energy, the spiritual stuff, and the stuff that probably the average psychotherapist wouldn't touch, right?
Exactly. I don't think that my colleagues are very keen on what I'm doing because I also talk about it. I have to talk about it because for me, it's a whole. It's body, mind, spirit.
Yeah.
So it's a whole for me. You can't be without the spirit. So if you can't go into the energies, I can't help in depth to say depth. So it's going to be too superficial if you don't take it all in, kind of.
Yeah. So you want to go deep. And one of the things that you say is that you're really an expert in helping people like find their true identity and then to live it. So tell me what you mean by that.
Well, a lot of us are caught up in other people's opinions, and it starts when we are kids that our parents say this is right, this is wrong, you have to go to school like this, you have to have an education, and then you have to find a work, then you have to get married and stuff like that. So already there we have a lot of opinions of others that we should live by. And when we grow up and we are not being seen as the little individuals we are, we kind of put it back and stuff it, like we stuff things in a drawer, and it's not healthy for us. And at some point, your soul or your spirit or the energies will come out and say, hey, I need to be listened to. You don't listen to me.
Yeah.
I'm going to lay you down. And that's why we have all these sicknesses, I think. I think a lot of stress, for instance, is about not listening to your own inner guidance and your own voice. So what I do is that I have people seeing and taking responsible for their choices, meaning, did you choose that opinion or did your mom choose that opinion? Is this your opinion or is it your dad's opinion? Is this your boss's opinion or is it your opinion? So, little by little going in and see how much of this is yours and how much belongs to somebody else. And that's, step by step looking into the difficulties people have in life. So that's kind of the way I do it.
Yeah, so it is about helping people understand that decision point that maybe you chose these beliefs when they were kind of forced on you in your childhood, but now as an adult, taking responsibility means you get to choose.
Yes.
I love that. And one of the other things coming from that, again, that very straightforward corporate background to now teaching about the law of attraction. When we get back from the break, I'd love it if you could talk to us about the energy work for manifestation, because I think it's a hot topic. And, even though the movie The Secret in the book came out, 15 years ago or 13 years ago, it's still a really controversial topic, because some people say, oh, they went too far. People just want to do a vision board and they don't do the work. But what you're saying is there's actually energy work. It's not just sitting there. You're manifesting in an active way. So when we get back from the break, can we pick it up there?
Yes.
You're watching Liberate Your Authentic Self with me, Dr. Andrea Pennington. Check me out on Instagram at Dr. Andrea Pennington. And now, back to the show. So, if I told you to just liberate your authentic self and live with purpose and passion, that could sound a little bit nebulous. I mean, it's a great lofty goal, but how do you actually do it? Well, my guest today, Lorena Plæhn, is going to break it down, and she's going to explain the energy work for manifestation. Yes, people talk about the law of attraction, but what you're talking about, Lorena, is even deeper than that. These are just really using the laws of the universe, right?
Exactly. So when I talk about manifestation and the law of attraction, I'm very, very aware of my energy. So what I do is that I teach my clients to use their results to mirror back to where they were. So what we do is that we have learned that if you think positively and you can feel the feeling, then you can manifest it. And that's true. But sometimes you go around and you think positive, which you probably do, but then you manifest a totally different result than you wanted.
Right.
And you kind of, oh my goodness, how did that happen? And the point here is to be curious about how did that happen? Because if you wanted another result, you have something going on that's not in alignment with the result you wanted. And here we can dig deep. So we always start by cleaning out our convictions, what's from mom and dad, how are we brought up, and then we work there. But at some point, there are no more work to do there, or other stuff will come up that has nothing to do with our upbringing. And that can be, quite new stuff. That could be related to your work or your career, whatever you've been doing, be related to your other family, but it can also be ancestral. So we have to be very careful. You can walk around actually with energies and convictions that are ancestral, that are not yours.
Exactly.
So what do you do? You keep manifesting on somebody else's energy.
That is such a profound understanding. I want to just stop there for a second, because what you've described is what I hear a lot. A lot of people will say, I've been doing the affirmations. I've been thinking positively. I've been even feeling what it would feel like to get that. But what you're saying is sometimes we've got other stuff on us. It's not just the beliefs. So talk me through that, this idea that you might have ancestral beliefs or some sort of, it's almost like a belief takes on a life of its own. It becomes its own entity.
It is, and it does. It is, and it does. So we have to be aware of that. So I can give you an example from my own life. I've been dealing a lot with money. And I think a lot of people in the world are dealing with money.
Yep.
So I've been using, money is not just money. Money is energy. So we are all having our own convictions about money, and we're brought up with either it's very abundant, or you have to take care, or rich people are idiots and they are probably criminals and stuff like that.
Right.
So we all know those stories from our parents saying, hey, you need to take care. So when you clean out all that and you're kind of left with, okay, all I have now is my own convictions, but I keep manifesting these results. What's going on? So what I personally do is I contact a mentor who can clear these things at a soul and energy level, very high and very low. So you can have these things cleared actually.
Yeah.
And it works. It's for real. So what you can do is you can go to your former lives yourself, finding a therapist or a coach who can take you to your former life, and then you can clean up there, come back, and then it's gone. Yeah. You can ask your angels and guides to do a total clean on several subjects, but you can also have clearings. And the clearings I use very much are clearings that go into my energy system and takes away the parts that are not mine. And I've had tons of stuff from both my father's ancestors, my mother's, former life stuff, you name it. And you don't stand a chance if you want
exactly.
in this life. If there is something you really want to be clean with or have cleaned up, it's a very good idea to be very thorough, because sometimes, and then forgive yourself.
Yeah,
forgive
of course.
yourself sometimes for manifesting things you don't. I don't understand. Why does that keep coming up there? And then find out, well, is it mine?
Yeah, that's an important question. Is this even mine? You know, somebody earlier this year introduced me to a technique called holographic kinetics, and I was like, I've got to learn this. If I can actually help people clear things on a soul level from past lives, from ancestors, it's pretty profound, because it's like you say, we can start to forgive ourselves. Because I think the other challenge with the law of attraction is people hear this message that says, everything in your life is your creation. You co-created it. You're using the law of attraction, whether it's for positive things or for negative things. And so when people see a lot of quote unquote negative things, bad things, illness, loss, they can't find a marriage or can't find a job, or they keep losing money, they do, if they believe this idea that everything is my responsibility, that can send people into a serious depression and serious guilt and shame, because they figure there must be something wrong with me. If I'm doing everything they say, but it's not working, there's something wrong with me. Yeah. So I love that you're bringing that up.
Yeah. And actually, I was that kind of person who said you have to be responsible for all you do. And in a sense, I still believe that. But I don't believe it like you're guilty.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see, the difference for me, because I am responsible for all I have. So if I want to manifest something and I can't succeed, I'm responsible for taking care of what is going on.
Yes.
Nobody else is taking care of that. So I have to take responsibility and say, okay, I can't find out what's going on, so I need somebody to help me. And that's the next thing. You have to get help. You can't do everything yourself. So go and get help if you're stuck in this, because your responsibility is to be the best version of you and do the best you can. If there is something you're not succeeding with, look into it and get some help, because you can have this stuff cleared out if it's not yours. Don't walk around feeling guilty. No, it's not necessary. And it's the same with children. Some children come into this world and are actually sick from the start. They have all kinds of disease. And you could say, okay, how can a child be responsible and have attracted that? No, it cannot have attracted that. It's bringing it in from a former life.
Yeah.
Most certainly, that would be my suggestion. So the child is bringing it in for a reason. Mm-hmm. Find out, get somebody to help you, talk to somebody who can take you back to former lives, or talk to somebody who can take you into the life, being a soul in the life between lives, and have a conversation with your soul there. What happened? What are you coming into this world with? Why are you doing this? Get help. Mm-hmm. It's not always we can figure it out in our heads. We need to go on a soul level and get some help sometimes.
Yeah. Very wise words. Thank you for bringing so much wisdom to the table. And thank you for the story that you've shared here in Time to Rise. I think people are going to be surprised, but also inspired to really open their eyes to see how else they might take responsibility by really looking deeper into what's going on with themselves, with their children. And so, Lorena, we can find out more about you at lorenasuniverse.com, where you've got plenty of resources there. And how else do you work with people? Are you working only in Denmark or abroad?
I'm also working abroad, but that would be on Skype.
Okay.
So I'm working on one-on-one sessions, and here in Denmark, I'm doing groups too, and doing workshops, speeches. So I do a lot of stuff, but mostly in Denmark when it comes to showing up, and on Skype when I work abroad.
Okay. Well, it was very good to see you in Copenhagen when I was there, and I look forward to connecting with you again when I come back to Denmark in 2018. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. You can get your copy of Time to Rise. It is available in all formats: Kindle, print book, Kobo, Nook, and iBooks, of course. Definitely pick up a copy. And if you visit timetorise.me, you'll find out that there are some free gifts with your purchase. So, Lorena Plæhn, thank you again for being here with me today and sharing your story. If you want to connect with Lorena, visit lorenasuniverse.com. And of course, all of the links are in the description. I just wish you the most fabulous end of this year and the start of this new year, taking your message now out to this global audience to help so many people, including parents, really get the help that they need.
Thank you so much, Andrea, and thank you so much for having me both here and in the book. I'm very, very glad.
Well, it's my pleasure and an honor. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Remember that you are a gift to the world. So share your presence with passion. Much love. Bye. How do you pick yourself up when life knocks you down? Perseverance, grit, determination, resilience. These words describe natural human qualities which help us bounce back after any type of setback: illness, loss, betrayal, bankruptcy, divorce, abuse, and trauma. No one is immune to experiencing the tragedies of life at some point. Learning how to use your potential to rise again is what will keep you going. I'm Dr. Andrea Pennington, creator and publisher of Time to Rise. In Time to Rise, 29 inspiring changemakers share their personal stories of transformation to prove that you can reclaim your life, find your purpose, and re-emerge as the powerful creator that you are. It can be tempting to think that the people who succeed in life or who recover after major devastating loss are special or somehow endowed with magical powers. The reality is, within you are the very same powers. You have the potential to live a life of meaning and purpose in alignment with your values. You have the right and the power to reclaim wellness, live with vitality, and enjoy real happiness. Get your copy of Time to Rise and enjoy free gifts with your purchase. May this book help you reconnect to who you really are. May you find peace and hope. May you claim this moment as your time to rise. Visit timetorise.me and buy the book anywhere books are sold.